Okay, so I know I haven't uploaded in a little while, but I thought I should probably post an update just for those of you who were wondering where I was. So, I posted a short a little while ago just saying that I wouldn't be able to upload for quite a long time, and that is because I have broken my ankle quite badly. And so I'm going to be talking about that a little bit for those of you who want the details. So I was climbing when I did this. And so what happened was I was in quite a I was on quite a difficult climb, grade I think 6A plus. And there was this hold that I couldn't quite reach, but my feet were in this really awkward position, so I couldn't really stretch out and reach it very easily. And so I sort of did like a little jump, and just so I could reach it, and obviously my feet sort of came out from underneath me, and so then by that point I was hanging by my two hands. My other hand slipped off, and so I was left hanging by this one hand, right? And I swung to the side, and I fell. And when I fell sort of sideways. So I landed. When I landed, I sort of rolled my ankle, and I didn't think anything was wrong at first. I sort of saw it. It was a bit swollen, but other than that, it was okay. Except it wasn't fine. It was broken, as I've said, but it didn't feel that bad. It felt like I'd sprained it. And so I thought, like, I'll wait for my mum to come and pick me up, and then I'll go down to the hospital, see what's happened. And so I did that. I went down to the hospital about half an hour later because my mum was in a meeting. And we went to see this doctor. He felt my leg for a bit, asked me a few questions like, does it hurt here, does it hurt here, does it hurt when I do this type of thing. And once he was done doing that, he said, okay, I'd like you to go down to x-ray. So I got myself x-rayed. It was surprisingly quick, actually. You'd think stuff like that takes ages. I was waiting for a little while, but once I was in there, it took about 5 minutes. They put my foot into a few different positions, took some photos, and I came back out, went back to the fracture clinic, or went back to minor injuries, went back to where I was meant to be, and he came back the doctor came back a few minutes later, looking genuinely terrified. He looked at me like he'd just seen a ghost, or like I'd been missing 5 years. And I was a little bit worried. He said, yeah, it's broken. And I thought, okay, it's probably not that bad. So I asked, is it a hairline fracture? He said, no, it's broken. And so we went into his office, and this is what he showed us. It was probably one of the most terrifying moments of my life. And then he mentioned having surgery. He said, you're probably going to have surgery on this. This is bad. And I just broke down. I just couldn't handle it. It was a bit overwhelming, but yeah, I remember so I sat on this bed for about half an hour. By that point, it was like 10 p.m. because it was like after school. Like I'd walked for quite a long time actually. I'd worked quite hard just to get to the climbing place in the first place after school. And it was like 10 p.m. now. And I was waiting on this bed, and I just remember like thinking, why did this have to happen today? Because the really big issue was, this was in the middle of exam week. This was on Wednesday, 30th of April, right? And I just thought, like, why does it have to be in the middle of my exam week? Which meant I had to do my exams at home in the end, because I didn't go back to school for 2 months afterwards, because it was so bad. I just couldn't put any weight on it. It was, and that next week was the most painful week of my entire life. And it was so mind-numbingly boring as well. It was the most mind-numbingly boring thing I've ever done, while also being the most painful thing I've ever done. It was horrible. But yeah, I had to deal with it. I got attention from my relatives. I got to post it on my WhatsApp story, stuff like that. It was fun watching people just slowly become a little bit scared for my well-being. And it was kind of funny. Maybe I'm a horrible person, I don't know, but it was fun. But yeah, the rest of it was so excruciatingly painful. That was one of the only downsides of it, really. Although I did get to miss school and not really have to do any schoolwork for 2 months, but yeah, I'm recovering now. I'm not in the cast anymore. I've had my surgeries. I had to have surgery twice. So what happened was, I went into surgery the first time. Not too long after it happened, about a week after it happened, I went into surgery. This was all the way over in Margate, so it was quite a long drive from where we were. And yeah, it was quite a long way from where we were. It was quite a long drive, and because my foot was still quite broken, it really, really hurt. But it was the most excruciating car ride I've ever felt in my life. And that was to get the first surgery. And it was just, like everything about it was quite horrible. Although I did get to drink a whole jug of Ribena afterwards, which was kind of nice, but so I went into surgery and thinking this is probably gonna be fine. I thought like they know what they're doing. I'm not gonna. This is gonna be the end of it. It wasn't. But afterwards, I sort of heard the news. They had successfully done it, but it was. I was gonna need a second surgery about 2 weeks later, and because I was fed up at this point. I didn't want any more surgery. I wanted my leg to be better. I wanted to live normally. But the annoying thing was I was in surgery for about 3 hours, right? And that was because of just how bad the injury was. It was a lot worse than we thought it was, even on the X-rays. And so they put 2 wires into the left side of my ankle. And here's the X-ray for reference. And I felt a lot better afterwards, but I had to stay there overnight to get antibiotics and stuff like that, so they could sort of make sure I was still functioning normally, right? And it was not something I really want to repeat ever, because it was the children's ward, because I'm under 18. They, there were just, loads of, really sick little kids. There was, I don't want to go into too much detail about it, because YouTube, but I felt so sorry for so many of the people there, and it was one of the most horrid things I've ever had to sit and listen to in my life. It was, there were, babies that had quite bad sicknesses, and they didn't sound too great. And I really didn't like just sort of being sat there. Also hearing heart monitors go off all the time. Half the time it didn't even mean anything, just because there was this little kid opposite me, and his heart monitor kept going off just because he was moving around. But I got barely any sleep that night. That was one of the worst nights sleep I've ever had in my life. That was genuinely a horrid experience, and I never want to, I hope that none of you ever have to experience what I've experienced. And I haven't explained it very well, just because I'm not good at explaining things like this, but yeah. But yeah, I'm well on my way to recovery now. I have a boot, but I'm doing better. I'm doing better, but it's still not over. I'm still not out of the woods yet. Just because you might be able to see it on the X-ray if I sort of zoom in on it. You can see there's a tiny little ridge where the bone hasn't quite aligned properly, and they're not sure if that's going to cause any problems yet, but we're going to see. If it is going to cause problems, then I will need to go in for a third surgery probably. We're not entirely sure what's going to have to happen if it is a problem. But I'll keep giving updates, and I'll tell you more on a later date, because that's all that's happened so far. But yeah, and those were the main things. Other things were CT scans and X-ray. One time, before I got my first surgery, I had to wait 3 hours for a CT scan. So yeah, try not to break your bones, because it's not very fun, okay? It was the most mind-numbingly boring experience I've ever had, and I'm pretty sure I went just a little bit insane while I was at home, just because I wasn't at school for 2 months. I hadn't really had very much human interaction other than with my parents, and so I was starting to go a little bit, I started to act a little bit strange, I think, but I'm not at school anymore because I'm on holiday, but I'm getting better. I've had more human interaction recently, but yeah, I'm doing better, and I really hope I never have to have this experience ever again, because this is the most horrible thing I've ever done in my life. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with in my entire 14 years of being alive. So, yeah. also it like really sort of highlighted the fact that we take a lot of stuff for granted. You don't really miss it till it's gone. Even things like walking, because of course I couldn't really walk for a very long time. But yeah, I'm really glad I can sort of walk again now, and I'm gonna be able to do a few more activities quite soon. But yeah, I'll post updates as regularly as I can whenever I have free time. And I'll see you in the next one. I'll also start posting a bit more sort of like, yeah, of sort of normal content. I'll be posting a bit more sort of just gaming and actually stuff that I enjoy a bit more after I'm fully recovered as well. And but yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing, liking the video, because even though I haven't monetized this channel yet, it really helps to know that there is somebody out there. There's people out there that want to listen to my what I have to say and are interested in the story that I have to tell. So it's very reassuring. So yeah, help me out and just push that button. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Actually this time. Bye.